All right, welcome back to the Barbell Medicine YouTube channel or Instagram, wherever you're getting this from. I am Dr. Jordan Feigenbaum, I'm your host. We are doing our weekly live stream. We're going to do this every Monday. That's the idea, to keep regular habits. So if it's your first time tuning in, make sure to go back and check the old videos if you want to see if I answer one of your questions. How we do this, so you guys submit questions. I try to answer them as best as possible, and we talk about it here live on the air. And if you missed this, if you're watching a recording, well, catch us next time. Don't catch me outside. I feel like that thing's ran its course. But in any event, one more time, I'm Dr. Jordan Feigenbaum, your host here at Barbell Medicine. For any other inquiries, you shoot us an email, info@barbellmedicine.com. Make sure to follow us on social media. And if you have a burning question, you can either slide in the DMs or send us an email. In any event, I'm trying to think if I have any announcements. I don't think so. Merry Christmas Eve. I don't have a Santa outfit, but I do have a really sweet red and black checked blazer. But it's too hot up here. It is a cool day in Santa Cruz, but it's too warm for my blazer. All right, so let's see if we can get to some questions. Hola, was that an electric bike yesterday? No, I just got a trail bike. I've had a cyclocross bike for a while, but was a specialized stump jumper. Yeah, I've been on the mountain bike scene. I feel like it's safer than riding dirt bikes, which is what I really miss, but there you go. YouTube comments, I love it. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can submit a question. If you're watching on Instagram, you can submit a question. This will be archived on the YouTubes going forward. Let's see what we got here. Happy Christmas, man. Cheers to another year of amazing content. Hey, thanks. Thanks for tuning in. MJ or LeBron? I mean, this is not training related, but I feel like MJ changed the game more than LeBron did. That being said, that's probably biased because when I was coming up, MJ, we had Space Jam, the Chicago Bulls dynasty, the flu game. I don't know. I'm just an MJ fan, so hard to say. Hard to say for sure. Is lactose-free milk a good replacement for GoMad? This is Zane. He asked this on YouTube. So to be clear, I would not recommend GoMad for nearly anyone. If you're very underweight, doing GoMad is not something you can do anyway, so I wouldn't recommend it. Basically, you're eating so few calories to sustain your body weight that's too low that trying to do GoMad, another 2,500 calories, depending on, whatever milk you're trying to drink, is unlikely to be sustainable. You'll have potentially some serious GI side effects going from no milk to GoMad. And if you're lactose intolerant, then I would not just do a lactase-free milk for that volume of milk. So it doesn't mean that if you're lactose intolerant, you can't do a lactase enzyme-containing dairy product, or you can't just eat dairy and then use a lactase pill. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm getting at is that in order to go into calorie surplus, which is what you're trying to do with GoMad, I wouldn't do that anyway. And then especially if I was lactose intolerant, I would not pick a gallon of milk a day. There's nothing unique about a gallon of milk a day that's going to help you grow. And I don't think that going from no calorie surplus to 2,500 calories per day surplus is a good idea. I also don't think rapid weight gain in general is a good idea. You won't get that much stronger compared to slowly gaining weight. You're not going to gain more muscle mass compared to slowly gaining weight, and you will almost assuredly gain much more fat mass, as far as to the extent that this has been studied. All right. Fernando Castro, what are your thoughts on the Adidas Powerlift 3.1 and Power Perfect 3s? Power Perfect 3 is a good shoe. I think it's a little bit higher quality than the Adidas Powerlift 3.1s, and the Adidas Powerlift 4s just came out. It's just that EVA midsole is compressible. So I think if I was going to spend $100 to $150 on a pair of shoes, I'd pick the Adi Powers or the Adidas Power Perfect 2s or 3s or the Nike Romaleos. So yeah, that's what I would think. Jordan, I see Leah using the red slingshot. According to the website, it says if you don't bench above 315, you should use the blue one. Do you really think these guidelines matter? No, I think they're just made up. The idea is that when you're using some sort of load addition, trying to overload, that the overload isn't too extreme. I mean, 120% of your 1RM or something like that is kind of where we shoot for, and so that's what she gets out of the slingshot. So, all right, scroll down. When do we have coffee cups back on the website? Actually, I just got a new supplier, so hopefully pretty soon. I'm hoping in January. That seems, aggressive, but I think January is going to be the time. Let's see. Alan Thrall, the best rapper who lifts or the best lifter who raps? I mean, Drake lifts, but Alan's much stronger than Drake, so I don't know. Alfonso Uribe, what's up, Jordan? What would you recommend on training around a hip labral tear? I wouldn't recommend training around it at all, really. I have 2 torn hip labrums. It's not unusual for people to have torn hip labrums and be asymptomatic. So if you have symptomatic hip labral tears, then you need to figure out a way to basically let that pain dissipate. So things that are contributing to the pain, it's unlikely to be the mechanical cause, like you have, this torn hip labrum that's causing your pain, but rather too much fatigue, the loading's been too high, and maybe too much training frequency. So I would maybe go down to squatting once a week, doing leg press, belt squat or something like that on another day, or just those 2 variations per week. And I would lower the load for a period of time and see if you can get around that issue. How often should you increase the weight on the bar on the bridge when cutting? So I think the first thing I would address is that I do not think that my general recommendation for how often to add weight has anything to do with whether you're cutting or not. So this is just in general. I would add weight to the bar every time that you can without overshooting your RPE. That's what I would do, regardless if you're cutting or not. Is heavy, light, medium a gateway to 4-day splits like block and DUP, or could your program be ran long-term successfully, or would you rather a client transition to a 4-day split eventually? So heavy, light, medium, I do not like most permutations of that I didn't write. So I think that the idea that you should have a heavier day, a lighter day, and a medium day goes against what we know about allostasis and training adaptations and preparedness to train. I wouldn't do that. I also don't think that you need to move everybody towards a 4-day split. I wouldn't do that. A split, because you're implying that people should have upper, lower, and that's not my preferred way to organize training. If you want to train 4 days a week and have 4 full body sessions, that's probably what I would aim for somebody who really, really likes to be in the gym and has been training for a while. I just, in general, would not ever program a 4-day split unless I had to, if I was hamstrung for some other reason that I had to compromise somebody's training stress. So there you go. Howdy, Doc. Would you say that the squat is a better exercise from a training economy standpoint compared to the leg press? Without sort of outcomes being stated, no. I don't think that you're going to get more hypertrophy from squats than the leg press. I don't think you'll necessarily get stronger from squats than a leg press unless the thing that you're testing your strength on is more similar to a squat than a leg press. The leg press involves less motor learning, so there's less of a sort of learning, a motor learning thing that has to develop. So I think if you're talking about getting better at squatting or getting better at maybe sprinting or something like that, then you can make a case that squats are better than leg press. But even that would be hard to say. So no, I don't think that it's a better training economy unless you could literally only do one exercise and you were saying, well, you get more low back training, more trunk training and a back squat compared to a leg press, and that's all true, but it's not great training. So yeah. Let's see. Doc, been weight training for over a year, have a hysterectomy scheduled. Curious on advice for training post-op. I don't have any specific. So, all right, let's back up. Training post-operatively. Here's the one thing you need to obtain in order to train post-operatively. Clearance from your doctor that says you are now cleared to move about the country. No, to resistance train. And so I think stating very clearly to your doc, hey, I need clearance in order to resistance train. And if they say, I can't clear you yet, ask why. Because then you're going to have this conversation with your doctor about the risks and benefits of training prior to being cleared. After you've been cleared to resistance train, then I would I would train in a manner that's non-specific to whatever procedure that you had. So having a hysterectomy or a hernia repair or any other sort of abdominal related surgery, I wouldn't do it differently based on what you had. That'd be very sexy of me to say that, hey, I have a hysterectomy specific post-op program, but that would all be fraudulent. That's BS. So I would, once you get clearance from your doctor, I would train. In fact, the only post-op sort of population that we've studied is post-radical mastectomy for breast cancer, resection and lymph node dissection. And so effectively people who resistance trained day one post-operatively did better without significant side effects compared to people who waited. That being said, that's not what I'm telling you to do. I am telling you to obtain clearance from your doctor, and if they say you're not cleared yet to resistance train, you have to ask why. That's your job. That's your job. Merry Christmas. Is there anything wrong with doing touch and go bench most of the time and switching to pauses closer to meets for powerlifting? Is there anything wrong with it? Maybe decreased improvement in your pause bench than you otherwise would get from practicing that more often. Sure. Yeah. Milo Terekekek. Do you really think that poor mobility and bad posture can't cause chronic pain? That's actually, yes, exactly what I think. And you'd have to define what is poor mobility, what is bad posture, because then you're saying that there's a normal and an abnormal, and that without pathology that causes the abnormal, that people who just somehow spontaneously have this bad mobility or bad posture have increased incidences of chronic pain. And that would be a stretch given the current data set. Hey, Jordan, thanks for all the great content. Finished up the peaking template on Friday. Hit 415 on my squat. The estimated 1RM was 365 at the start of the template. 275 pounds when I first found you guys in August. Hey, man. Nice work. Jordan, have you had any experience with arm length discrepancy? Yes. Nearly 100% of humans have arm length discrepancy. I'm currently compensating an inch difference using fat grips on my presses and just taking a slightly wider grip for deadlift. I wouldn't compensate at all. I don't think I would do anything differently. I would grip the bar the same on both sides. Basically, what your body is already compensated. The pennation angle, the amount of sarcomeres, the leverage that the muscles have on the joints, given the different lengths, have already taken place. The fat grips isn't helping that. The difference in grip on the deadlift isn't helping that. Just look, everybody's asymmetrical. You, me, your mom, the girl you're crushing on, or guy, whatever. I wouldn't do anything about it. Yep. Your program is too expensive for non-Americans. 20 euros would be equivalent economic burden for a Greek. Is there anything you can do? I don't know what that means. 20 euros is not a lot of money. I mean, really. Yeah. Hello again, Doc. GPP, how much would you generally recommend for one who isn't deconditioned? I have no general recommendation without some sort of context. So if you're not deconditioned, does that mean you can sustain 8 METs for a minute? Does that mean you're hitting your 1,000 METs per week total for activity? Do you have any conditioning goal aspirations? Do you have any strength goal aspirations? Are you overweight? Do you carry too much body fat? Who are you, I have pain in one shoulder when I press. Should I stop overhead pressing? I wouldn't, just given that. But I have not evaluated you and haven't asked enough questions to rule out anything that's potentially dangerous with pressing. But I think, that stuff identifies itself pretty readily. Do you support testosterone replacement therapy? Yes, I agree with the American Academy of Clinical Endocrinologists that testosterone replacement therapy for hypogonadism is beneficial when hypogonadism has been correctly diagnosed and the correct treatment has been both administered and monitored correctly. So people who have not been diagnosed appropriately or not monitored appropriately, people who are self-supplementing, I don't support that, but what are you going to do? What do you think of vegan gains? I don't think about vegan gains. I just don't. Yeah. Let's see. Yo, Jordan, second time running the 12-week strength. Now going to the first meet. Can I sub leg press for safety squat bar squats? I mean, you can because you're an adult. You can do whatever you want. If you find that you respond better to that, sure, do it. Merry Christmas from Cape Town, South Africa. Hey, Merry Christmas indeed. What is wrong with LP and what should an untrained individual do instead? So an untrained individual can literally do anything. If I had to program for a rank beginner, they would do some sort of squat pattern 2 to 3 times per week, but not the same. They need more motor variety of movements in order to improve motor learning. They would have multiple rep ranges, not hyper-specific to one rep range, in order to improve all of the unique benefits from each different rep range, including conditioning, hypertrophy, strength at different rep ranges. Okay, and there would be conditioning baked into the program. Progressive overload would occur via added volume and intensity, not just one or the other. There would be some auto-regulation such that overuse injuries are unlikely. So what is wrong with LP? The linear progression. Well, linear periodization is a suboptimal programming model for all comers. It is too hyper-specific because there are only 4 or 5 exercise variations, which produces decreased motor learning advancement. So more variety improves your motor learning, improves your ability to do physical tasks repeatedly. It is too hyper-specific from a rep range. The progressive overload is lacking, and there's no auto-regulation. Yeah, and then even anecdotally, it doesn't work that well. 2% of people who do it actually do it. And it lasts on average 9 weeks. And I guess what I'm saying is I don't care if you do it, I just don't think that it matters. And I don't feel very strongly about what you should do for 9 weeks if it has all those limitations. So, yeah. Is 1 meal a day okay? Sure, you can live on 1 meal a day. Is it optimal for strength and conditioning performance and aesthetics? No, but the most important thing is hitting the appropriate calories for the day. But 1 meal a day is not something I would recommend in general. Are lever rows better than dumbbell rows in any way? No, it's about the same movement, yeah, to be honest. Does 315 by 10 make you more jacked than 135 by 10? Sure, yeah, because you get more motor unit recruitment on 315. If the same person is trying to do both of those and you have the same amount of fatigue going into the set, sure. Hey dog, when should we expect the Barbell Medicine app? I'm hoping February. Yeah, it'd be great. Jordan, is there anything I should be concerned about with long-term or frequent diphenhydramine use for sleep? Yes, you should not use Benadryl as a sleep aid. That's going to be a no for me, dog. If you're having insomnia, which is not unusual, then I think that you would benefit from seeing a professional about this and not self-medicate with Benadryl. Do you do cardio with any regularity? Yes, twice per week. One day is higher intensity stuff. Sometimes I'll do that on a rower or an air bike or a real bike, and then another day is some more steady state stuff, usually on a bike or as well. Is there any point to doing bodyweight squats to be able to squat the bar? I seem to have no issues with leg press, but I can't squat to save my life. I don't know why you can't squat with the barbell. I would guess that maybe some coaching would help. If doing bodyweight squats is possible, and then you could do like a goblet squat, and then you could get a bar on your back, or front squat, or a training bar, a lighter bar. You could do all of that stuff to work your way up to squatting with the barbell. Is vitamin K2 worth taking to increase bone circumference? Absolutely not. BM, Jordan, are you getting the bug to compete at powerlifting again? Seeing Austin at Raw Nationals made me interested in competing a little. Wondering if you're looking to get back into it. I have a meet scheduled for February 23rd. So, yes. Yeah. I know you got Austin a barbell for Christmas. What did he get you? I think the cheapskate didn't get me anything. I don't know. It's not Christmas yet, but I feel like I would have known. You know? Also have to say Greg Nichols' episode has been the best episode so far. Hey, thanks, man. I was really happy with how the audio turned out. It was a pretty good, fun conversation. Is overtraining a real thing? Not in barbell training. Nope. Got some hip flexor pain on one side after a discrete event. Pop out of the hole over a year ago. That doesn't mean anything. I wouldn't do anything about something that happened a year ago. PT tells me it's all neurological and I'm fine to keep going. Well, all pain is an experience, and that is 100% neurological. Ooh, I feel like that's a package, but I'm not going to sign for it. I have a thing. Just leave it on my doorstep. So anyway, yeah, pain is an experience. It's 100% neurological. The nociception, so pain, stimuli that has a potential to cause pain from the periphery, is unlikely to still be there a year later. So I think that load management, getting stronger, and learning more about pain science would be all things that would help you here. Will low-intensity steady-state cardio have a good impact on my cardio if I'm out of breath on a 6-rep squat and deadlifts? Could help it a little bit. I would expect that the best thing to get better conditioning for lifting is going to be lifting, however, although, some level of cardio is probably going to be better than, not developing that at all. What is your position on Kelly Starrett's Supple Leopard book? I think that it is trash. Yeah. I don't dislike Kelly as a person. I just think that book and everything that whole mobility movement kind of stands for is junk. Yeah. Do you think that as a powerlifter, a set of 5 singles, one after another, is better than just a set of 5? At the same intensity? No. I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. If you were to get injured during the bridge, for example, a shoulder injury, would you put the entire program on hold, or would you lower the weight when doing overhead press and slowly increase the weight? Probably the latter. Depends the nature of the injury. I might not do anything, Let's see, 45-year-old female, training 1 year, previously untrained. I've been eating 40 grams of protein each meal for protein synthesis. Will I need to continue eating 40 grams each meal even as I become more trained? Theoretically, the meals around your workout would require a little bit less protein, maybe 10 grams, 15 grams less. But, being that 45 years of age, female, I probably wouldn't change your protein intake. I mean, if you're eating 5 times a day and you're having 200 grams of protein per day, that seems a little high for most females. But, 3 meals a day, 4 meals a day, a reasonable intake. Let's see. Hey, Jordan. What's up? Hey, Jordan, what are your long-term goals for Barbell Medicine? Your content's been really bloody useful, and I bought the master template the other day. Cheers for the work you do. Hey, thanks, man. So, yeah, what we'd like to do, we're going to come out with the goal for 2019 is to have 20 different position stands come out on various topics and what we think about them. So this would be like training during pregnancy, training post-op, training for beginners, just various things, sources of contention that we would like to have all of our ducks in a row, very clearly outlined, what we think about them, what the evidence is, and we update those periodically. So the hardest part is going to be coming out with the initial recommendations, right? But it'd be good for professionals, both trainers, coaches, and then other health professionals to be able to reference that stuff for free. I want to get our book done and out in 2019, and yeah, that's what I want to do, and really ramp up our charitable or our philanthropic efforts in 2019. So those are my 3 goals for 2019. Book, position stands, 20 of them, and philanthropy. That's what I would like. Jordan, how is the training effect of power cleans reduced by a little bit of arm pulling? It's not. Why is arm pulling in the power clean discouraged so vehemently? I mean, it's inefficient from a force transfer standpoint, but people do it at a very high level as well. So, All right. Let's see what we got here. Do you take PeriRx on non-training days? I do. Yeah, twice per day. There you go. Why is fiber important for health? Lowers the glycemic load for food, delays gastric emptying, so decreases blood sugar spikes, which can improve satiety. Also is very thermogenic, so you burn more calories from the thermic effect of food. Yeah, a bunch of potential ways that increase your total daily energy expenditure while also decreasing your total daily energy intake. Also, people who have the most fiber have the lowest amount of, I think it's colorectal cancer, breast cancer, bladder cancer. Might be one more in there. I might have conflated one with another. Sorry, I don't have that source in front of me. If your wife doesn't want you to train on Christmas Day, what do? I mean, do it anyway and ask for forgiveness. You're asking a single guy. Like, don't ask me your questions about your wife. Let's see. What do you want for Christmas? Oh, man. It's a good question. I would like a whole day off. Just like a whole day off where I don't have to do anything. Now people are like, oh, you could take a day off. You're the boss, man. You could just take a day off. I'm like, no, that's true. I can, but I have a lot of work to do. So I would like to be able to at least create more hours in a day so I could do all of that stuff and then have a day where I don't do anything. Maybe I'll take tomorrow off. Maybe I will. Thoughts on Mike Matthews' programs? I don't think that they're great for hypertrophy or strength compared to other options that are out there. I think it'd be hard to say that any program's bad to get people starting training, but, I don't think that the programs are like, super high level. I wouldn't recommend paying for them, unless that's the only way you're going to exercise because you like him, which is fine. I think he's a good guy. Should I shrug on overhead press? You can. It's not going to do anything to your shoulder as far as like injury, pain. It might develop your traps a little bit more, maybe. Jordan, one shoulder starts to really hurt in the low bar position. I know biceps pain can sometimes be fixed with grip changes. Any other super common things that may help? Sure. Narrow your grip, widen your grip, raise the bar a little bit, lower the bar a little bit, decrease loading for a little bit of time. Make sure to keep your elbows down. Those would be all things that I would try. Usually what happens is people take weight off the bar as they change their grip, and then their biceps feel better. Usually that's how it goes. In order to create muscle protein synthesis, should supplemental BCAAs be added to the meal if the protein comes from a vegan source? Well, it depends how much protein you're getting from the vegan source, right? And what its BCAA profile looks like, and moreover, what its essential amino acid profile looks like. If I had a person who's vegan, like no joke, I'm vegan, all I eat are plants, I might suggest an essential amino acid supplement each meal, over a BCAA supplement, standalone anyway. Yeah. Thanks for your answer. The reason I am compensating the difference in my arm length is because I feel that my lockout is not stable enough because the barbell is not horizontal. It depends how far it's off. You could also be off one side on the bench, or one elbow could be flared more than the other, I'd have to see it, but again, everybody's arm length is different. Yeah. Did you learn under Dr. Paul Merrick? Yes. Yeah, the vitamin C concoction. Yeah, you call it the Merrick protocol, vitamin C and stress dose steroids and some other stuff. Yeah. Yep, from South Africa. Do the Nike Divinos run narrow? I guess. I think I have a pretty normal-sized foot, and they don't seem narrow, but I haven't measured them to tell you if there's like a D or an E width or anything like that. Hello, can an Olympic barbell with sleeves that barely spin and the shaft spins sometimes while the sleeves don't be ruining my pressing? Not doing yourself any favors. Because the plates are going to want to, as you walk the bar back, the plates are going to want to rotate. Just get a good barbell. You deserve it. If you're interested in training, if you're really interested in training, right, you really love this stuff, and you don't train at a great gym, see if you can get your own barbell. That's like, barbell, shoes, a belt, wrist wraps and straps, and knee sleeves. That's like, you could use that stuff for 10 years or more. And if you really like training, why don't you, You just every day hate yourself and you go in the gym? I don't know. Do you think foot arch has any causation to hip, back, or shin pain? Not directly. I think, this obesity would be much more correlated, for instance, and, that may be a confounding variable. What is the worst workout you've had? In recent memory? Passing out under 455 on a squat was pretty bad. The worst workout I ever had in med school, I was benching, and I remember I was I threw up in the middle of a rep. I'm glad I didn't asphyxiate, but I was so tired and angry and depressed or whatever. Not depressed because I missed the weight. It was just a rough time in my life. Med school was in general. In any event, I left the bar, like it just was sitting on the pins. I cleaned up the emesis and went to bed. The next day, actually, I went to another gym that I had a membership at. So it wasn't in my garage anymore, and I pulled 700. So, there you go. Should I bench on a wooden block? I probably would avoid benching on wood. Just, no splinters, bruh. Jordan discovered a left shoulder issue from chin-ups. I'm pulling it at the bottom of the range of motion. Muscles that wrap around the scapula are sore and joint is loose. Makes my bench very unstable. Sounds like fatigue from chin-ups. Yeah, take it easy on the chin-ups for a little bit if you've been doing them a bunch. But I don't think that your joint is loose, and I don't think that you have any overt injury that would prevent you from benching or doing pull-ups. I would just make sure that the load management is more appropriate. I have patellar tendinopathy for 10 weeks. After warm-up, it doesn't hurt much. Am I risking a bad injury here if I don't cut back on volume and rehab? I mean, I know there's some data suggesting that people with patellar tendinopathy have higher risk of patellar tendon rupture, but that data is not great. If I were you, if you have legit like patellar tendinopathy, we have a knee rehab template, and I would do that. I mean, that's why we made it. So it's for you. What exactly does an online consultation with Derek Miles and Michael Ray entail? So assessment, like, hey, here's what I think is going on with whatever pain experience that you're having. Here's what I think you should do, and then you get follow-up. Yeah, all good things. I believe it's Skype-based. Jordan, which former president would you bet could pull the most? Oh, that's a good question. Bush Jr. was a cheerleader. I bet you that dude's deadlifted before. He's kind of a little manlet style. I don't know. That's tough. Abraham Lincoln, I think, maybe had a little Marfanoid proportions. I bet that long arms, big hands. Taft has the body weight advantage. That's tough. I don't know. I have to think about that. Any books you can recommend for dealing with anxiety? I would read The Noonday Demon. Great book. Great book. Yeah. Do you feel strongly about the muscle protein synthesis refractory period? Yes. It's also known as the muscle full period, and Atherton's papers on that are really good. Did you happen to video passing out under the bar, and did you post it? I did, to both. Yeah, that was fun. What is your opinion on Shaco's programming? For example, is the intensity too low or the volume too high? I don't think so. For the appropriate person, no. Is it more effective for those who are training insensitive? I don't think you could reliably say that either. I think that Shaco knows what he's doing, but I think that, how appropriate a turnkey template is for one person, is only valid. That assessment's only valid for that one person. I don't know. I don't know if you're asking me to recommend other people's templates, and I don't know. I don't think that I could do that. Why do a lot of powerlifters roll the bar before deadlift? Because their belly's in the way, and they want to drop their hips below where they're going to start pulling the bar. They feel like they can set their back down there, and then they roll the bar back into them. Yep. Do you feel the front back squat machine can provide equal benefit to the barbell squat for the goal of lower body development? I don't know what the back squat machine is, but if you're just from a hypertrophy standpoint, sure, absolutely. When do you think is the appropriate time to use smelling salts? I think if you want to use it at a powerlifting meet, go ahead and do it, but I don't expect that they're going to work for most folks. That Morton review that you mentioned in the conversation with Greg Nuckols was actually 2 years ago instead of 4. It's amazing how much longer ago it feels, though, based on how nuanced you... Oh, yeah, with Baraki. Yeah, I wasn't actually on that panel, thankfully. Hey, do you think Westside training combined with a phasic structure and more volume and better lift choices, more deadlift, less bands, less small range of motion is a possibility for raw lifters? why or why not? So I think you have to first define what Westside actually is. And they've said, these are actual quotes, that if you're not in Columbus, Ohio at Westside doing Westside, that's not Westside. So that's a non-starter. They say if it's not working, it's not Westside. Okay. So let's just ignore both of those two things because those are ridiculous statements. And we'll say that I think that the tenets of Westside include that you're going to have a max effort day with lots of movement variety, and you're going to use accommodating resistance lots of the time. You're going to do some dynamic effort work, speed work, and you're going to have repetition efforts. And I don't think that anything those things uniquely are good. Yeah, I think they're all compromises in the way that they're implemented in most Westside structures. I think that if you're unwilling to agree about certain unique features of Westside, then Westside you could call any sort of DUP Westside, although they deny this. And then because that's what Westside is this type of DUP. So and they deny that. And if you say that Westside is DUP, but there's nothing unique about Westside, then Westside is really everything and it's not specific. And then what are we even talking about anymore? It's the same thing with CrossFit. Like, what is actually CrossFit? Where do you draw the line? Oh, that is CrossFit, and that's not CrossFit. So if CrossFit is everything, then CrossFit is nothing at the same time, and you can't define it. So anyway, I don't think that there's any unique benefits to running a Westside stylized program, and I would not recommend it. Yeah, I don't recommend the reading materials. I don't recommend that stuff. No. Hey, Jordan, just signed up for a group program, and hey, happy to see you there. Cool. Jordan, thoughts on the DO and MD merger in 2020? I thought that was still a bit like I don't think that's like for sure going to happen. If so, cool. Less confusion. If I'm not interested in competing, am I better off doing the high bar squat? No, but you're not worse off by doing the high bar squat or the low bar squat or front squat only. You'd be fine doing any of them. What is your opinion on intermittent fasting for strength? It's a bad way of getting strong. It may not affect you, but to the extent that it is going to cause an effect, it's unlikely to be positive. Let's see. Doc of Gains, your strength template recommends not to run unless a track athlete. Is this the case for Army guys who need to run for PFT? No, I would run if you're going to be tested in the PFT. Yeah. Jordan, I appreciate the great content. I had a question regarding bowel movements. Oh, good. What is considered regular? Once every 3 days, I believe, is normal, or once every day. But I know that you're not constipated until it's been 3 days or there's discomfort, but then you have to diagnose that as irritable bowel syndrome or not. So it's kind of nuanced. My girlfriend tracks her macros, but she can sometimes go a week without a bowel movement. If true, she should maybe see a gastroenterologist if it bothers her. Is Bush Jr. really 182 centimeters? That means he's taller than me. Well, all right. He just looked shorter. I don't know. Maybe it's the photographer's fault. Let's see. Could you lay out your argument for rowing with body English, or do you not care about it since an assistance movement? Do you recommend it over strict rows for people with deadlift goals in mind? I don't think that it matters at all for deadlift improvements or hypertrophy improvements, because I think with the body English, you're still going to get a bunch of motor unit recruitment. The fatigue's going to be similar. It's all the same. It doesn't carry over that greatly to the deadlift. I mean, it's better than power cleans, but if you want something to carry over to the deadlift, it's not going to be a Pendlay row. Mary Poppins, I don't believe in barbell fitness for myself. Number one, because the major muscles work with the butt. That doesn't make any sense. I think serious upper body strength, like a protruding shoulder down to the triceps, is male. That also doesn't make any sense. All right, moving along. Is there any evidence that artificial sweeteners negatively impact gut bacteria or body composition in any way? Is there any evidence? There's some weak evidence, mostly animal model based. And then, most of the like the either cross-sectional data or randomized controlled trials looking at artificial sweeteners in humans show that it doesn't do anything from like a body composition, weight gain, eating habit standpoint. You can find studies to support that bias, but overall it doesn't appear to be causative. Yeah. Cheap versus expensive Olympic shoes. Well, I think the point is there are no cheap Olympic shoes. Like if you spend $80 for the cheap ones and then the expensive ones are $130, like, I would just get the $130 ones because they're going to last longer and they're better made. Yeah. Hernia, shortness, Duke. This Mary Poppins person on YouTube is hilarious. That's funny. Okay, doctor, what are your thoughts on using sandbags for GPP days and doing sandbag presses, squats, deadlifts, and holds? I think it just depends what your goals are. If you have no competitive aspirations in getting stronger on the squat, bench, deadlift, press, or not like your immediate, I want to do that, then I don't care if you screw around with the sandbag on GPP days. I don't think that the transfer of the conditioning to non-sandbag related tasks like running, rowing, cycling is very good. I think that from a calorie burning standpoint, it's the same. And I think from a muscle hypertrophy standpoint, it's not any better or worse, just more fatiguing. So I don't think it's great, but if you're into that sort of thing and it makes your conditioning worth doing, then go for it. Hey, Jordan, do I risk injury if I tend to round my back during a heavy deadlift? Not uniquely, no. Unless you've never deadlifted before, in which case the act of deadlifting is a risky behavior. Yeah. Was West Ghent in Norfolk a strong neighborhood? Well, I was living there. Baraki was living nearby. Chewy was over there. Yeah. Yeah. Did they send you a new neon sign? No, I fixed that. I'm a repairman, which you don't know. Let's see. For someone who's never done front squats before, is it worth it to learn as a squat variation on your template starting from super lightweight? Would the lightweight hinder the strength development? I mean, yes. I wouldn't use an artificially lightweight that's less than the prescribed RPE. Just use the RPE. Just do that. Thank you for the recommendation for the book Outliers. Very interesting read. Have a safe Christmas. Oh, cool, man. Glad you liked it. I'm following the Bridge 2.0. Don't have access to a pin squat. What should I do instead? You should do pause squats. Yeah. Stefan Sav, any chance of a short re-entry template designed to get you back to the work capacity required to run a Barbell Medicine template after a short layoff? Yeah, the pivot block that comes with the time crunch template is, I think, designed exactly for that. Yeah. What is the barbell training ranked in Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Oh, where is it? Yeah, I guess it depends on who you're talking about. If I repeat the Bridge 2.0, should I change up the supplemental lifts or just repeat it word for word? I mean, if you had a good result the first time, I don't see any reason to change the thing, Could you elaborate on the seeming tension between the said principle and the benefits of variety over hyper-specialization? So the specificity of adaptation to the imposed demand, what that is, suggests that the more similar the test is to the training, the better you'll do at the test. So if you just wanted to get good at low bar squatting fives, okay, then you should low bar squat fives for most of your squat training. However, the exception is if you are not a trained individual. If you're untrained, then you do not have the motor pattern development to hyper-specialize already. You would want more movement variety to improve your motor learning. Now, after you've already developed a lot of that, you could have periods of time where things are hyper-specific. We do that during peaking for some folks, but not everybody's the same. Specificity of adaptation to the imposed demand is, I will admit, is less about the movement variation, provided that the joint angles are similar in the movements, the muscle lengths are similar during to the movements, and the coordination demands are similar. So that's why like a high bar squat and a back squat are complementary. Same thing as a front squat. Somebody's going to tell you use more hamstrings and lower back in a front squat or a high bar squat, but they'd be wrong. Best all-purpose bar. If you're not going to power clean, the Eleiko powerlifting bar is the best one I've found. The Rogue stainless steel Ohio power bar is pretty nice too. If you're going to power clean, then a BNR bar, but there you go. I'm currently on a bulk right now, so does it make sense to increase my calories to continue to be in a calorie surplus while I'm gaining weight, since the maintenance calories go up as you gain weight? I don't know if you stop gaining weight because your calorie surplus has evaporated, then you need to add calories. But I would not just continue to prophylactically add calories unless you just want to get fat. Jordan, what do you think about having, what is this? GNUMRRID. I don't know what this is. Having breakfast. This might be a dangerous Google search. I can't even find it. Well, I don't know what that's like for having breakfast. Medically, why do you not recommend Benadryl for sleep aid? Generic sleep aid at the pharmacy is diphenhydramine. Yeah, exactly. It's one, the half-life super long. Two, it decreases basal metabolic rate in general, decreases postprandial fat oxidation some. The evidence on it helping sleep is not that great. It also alters sleep architecture, which, yeah, bad news bears. I would not recommend it as a sleep aid, which is why your doctor doesn't recommend it either. What strength program should a soccer player do during the season? Depends. What have they done beforehand? There's not just, this is a soccer program. Oh, sick. That doesn't exist. What range of gains in the bench would you expect from the bridge for an 80-kilo man, 30 years old, 1 year of lifting pre-bridge, currently 100-kilo bench? Anywhere from -5 to 20 kilos. I know. It's a range. There's your range. Let's see. Heard an endocrinologist talk about the percentage of healthy obese people being about equal to the percentage of healthy thin people. I don't know what they mean by that. Medically healthy obese, if you actually read the American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists, their position stand or their recent lit review on obesity, they kind of poo-poo on the idea of medically healthy obese, suggesting it's more of a transient state that people are passing through on their way to problems, and that you're higher risk for diabetes and other obesity-related complications. So I don't know if the amount of people who are healthy, medically healthy obese is the same as the amount of people who are normal weight. I don't know if that's true. Yeah. I mean, if 39% of Americans are obese, right? That's our obesity rate or incidence right now, the prevalence, not incidence, sorry. So 39%, does that mean that, and then we'll say, I don't know what percentage is medically healthy obese, let's say it's 10%? Does that mean 10% of all normal weight folks are also healthy? I don't know. It seems like a stretch. It could be true. I don't know. Every time I ask a doctor about my insomnia, they suggest diphenhydramine because apparently that's a conservative option. What's the next best option usually? I disagree. I don't think your doctor should be saying that. Yeah, I mean, I would want to know their rationale for that. I don't recommend Benadryl. It depends on what your diagnosis is and why you're having insomnia. Yeah, so for sleep hygiene changes, behavioral changes, using a sleep schedule, eliminating stimuli in the room, addressing any psychological issue if present. Those would all be things I would do far before suggesting Benadryl. I think melatonin is a fancy placebo unless you have sleep phase, like a sleep phase disorder. Yeah. What do you think is a reasonable time frame to expect to go from a 500 to 600 deadlift? Depends. How fast did the person get to 500? I don't think there's any reasonable time frame. It could take forever. You could never get there. Or somebody could get there in 6 months, you know? Would you expect technical proficiency in the squat to decrease on the hypertrophy template if only comp squatting 1 time per week? For somebody who's been training for a while, nah, not really, no. How much is a new BMW 5 Series? I actually don't know what they cost. Yeah. Thoughts on the RP diet? I don't know what unique factors make the RP diet the RP diet. I haven't read the book, so I couldn't comment on that for you. Are you going to do TRT when you get older? If my testosterone levels are low and I'm clinically symptomatic, I should say that if I'm clinically symptomatic and then I find out after everything else has been ruled out that my testosterone levels are low, then sure. When should I switch to an intermediate program like Mad Cow? I'm currently at 275 for 3 sets of 5 on a squat, 315 for 1 set of 5 on the deadlift, 195 for 3 sets of 5 on the bench. I would switch now. I mean, or it's when that stops working for you. Yeah. In your opinion, is there a certain weight while squatting or deadlifting that someone should always wear a belt? No. For instance, if you're an 800-pound squatter, you might squat 660 for a set of 5 without a belt, right? Or if you're a 300-pound squatter, then maybe anything over 200, you wear a belt. I had a herniated disc 6 months ago and recovered. Last week I injured myself, and now my doctor thinks that I may have spinal stenosis. Should I give up on squats and deadlifts in the near future? No. Ugh, God damn. That's badness. General medical badness. What should someone with nerve damage do to their training and nutrition? I have an injury of some not understood origin that caused my right pectoral and part of my right triceps to be denervated. Yeah, I mean, if you can bench and press, I would do that. I would pretend that you don't have any nerve injury. Basically, if you can perform those movements without modification, I would do that. Otherwise, I would modify the movements such that you could do them and train normally. When my sleep apnea got treated, did you start feeling like a new life? I felt well rested and less irritable, for sure. All right. Can resistance training, like completing the strength template, cause hemorrhoids? Not usually, no. Just recovered from nasty flu fever. I trained through it and trained fine on the first 2 days, but now that it's over, I felt slightly a rep or 2 weaker on today's training session. I wouldn't worry about a rep or 2. Carry on. Hey, Jordan, any tips to starting an Instagram fitness account? I'm the worst on Instagram, dude. I haven't posted in like a week because I've been trying to take a break from it. It's so annoying. Like, I have a problem with posting like fake stuff, right? Like, I don't want to post like an old video of me pulling 700 or, you know, oh man, just crushing in the gym this week because, you know, it was an average week. Or like, you know, discount code in bio, or like a picture of my butt and a Bible quote. Like, I just can't do it. It's annoying. In any event, I think that in the fitness industry in general, we're lacking from quality content. Quality content prevails. Now, there are different ways to market that content, which really take us down a rabbit hole. But if you want to be good, you want to make money, you want to have clients, you want to make this world a better place, it's got to start with content. If your content is trash, no amount of no amount of plastic surgery, no amount of hashtags, etc. are going to help you. Yeah. Oh, you got 1 million followers, but you're not making money. Like, except for you get paid $1,000 to post something. But then people find out that no one's buying your stuff that you post for because nobody's there for the content. They're just there to look at pictures of you. I mean, anyway, I think we're going to find that the people who are super popular on social media who don't have good content, I think that we're going to find them fading from the limelight because content is king. And yeah. Thanks for that Molly Hatchet reference a couple weeks ago. Been bumping Flirting with Disaster. There you go. It's a great song. Any advice on prenatal vitamins during the first trimester? Yeah, you should take them if you're pregnant. How do you think the role of nurse practitioners and physician assistants will change in the next few years? Hopefully they start providing more autonomous care in the primary care sector. That's what I would like. Any papers or books on pain science you would recommend? Sure. Explain Your Pain Supercharged is the pain textbook. Read that. How does a layperson call someone with an advanced degree an idiot without actually calling them an idiot? I don't know. That's a good question. So do carbs or calories in general reset the 3 to 5 hour period between feedings? The muscle full effect, as proposed by Atherton and studied by other folks, suggests that the wow, I think I'm having like a motor stroke. The prevalence of hyperaminoacidemia predicts the muscle full effect. So basically the amino acid levels in the blood spike, and then from that point where they spike, they have to go back down to normal, and even though they're back down to normal, as soon as they go back down, you still need more time to pass to let the metabolic machinery be reset. So should you extend your back fully the entire squat? You should put it in normal anatomical position and brace it there. If it moves a little bit, it's fine. Does high bar or low bar differ? No, not really. Yeah. Jordan, I had a consult with Derek for my elbow tendinopathy and feel really stoked about both his recommendations and the experience with him in general. There you go. There you go. It's a win for Derek Miles. Jordan, I'm wanting to do one of your advanced 3-week peaks, but should I do the fast peak or the slow peak? I'm not sure whether I peak fast or slow. Do the slow one first. Just see. Yeah. My total testosterone average is 330 nanograms per deciliter, but I am symptomatic. I've had 3 torsion surgeries. Does being in range mean that testosterone isn't the issue? All other sex hormones are in range. Yeah, depends what symptom that you're talking about. I wouldn't treat 330 nanograms per deciliter in general, especially without knowing other things. Are you obese? Do you have sleep apnea? What do your other blood levels look like? Yeah. Does consuming exogenous amounts of caffeine, I mean, all caffeine is exogenous. In any event, does consuming caffeine pre-workout and utilizing the Valsalva maneuver throughout each repetition, heavy barbell movements, increase the risk for arterial aneurysms? I've never heard of an arterial aneurysm, arterial referring to a small branch in the vascular tree, but as far as aneurysms in general, no, that does not happen. Can you explain why bodybuilders get huge by just doing a lot of volume? A lot of them aren't even that strong, yet get massive, and personally I use steroids and I've noticed the same effect. Sure, so if you use something that increases your muscle protein synthesis amount, anabolic steroids do that, and you recruit a lot of motor units, which you can do by doing a lot of volume, and you gain weight, you will get bigger muscles. There you go. Oh, hey, I've been here for an hour. Dr. Don Diego. Glad I'm not the only one working on Christmas Eve. Oh, I just wanted to, every Monday we're going to do these live stream things. So I wanted to make sure we got it in today. Say hi to the folks. Christmas Eve. But we've been here for an hour. So, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you're not following me or subscribed to our channel,